Today, I'm here with Celso Pinto from Pixie, who's going to be sharing how you can use his software in your accountancy practice to get more control, become more efficient, and serve your customers better. Say hello, Celso.
Hi, everyone.
So, as you watch this video, if you see something you like, please remember to click the like button. If you click the subscribe button, you'll also be notified when I share further videos on YouTube. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please make sure that you post them in the comments box as we go along. So without further ado, let's get started. Celso.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank
you for the introduction. All right, let me share my screen right here. And here we go. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope your week has been good. Thank you very much, Simon, for hosting this event. We really appreciate the opportunity to show what Pixie can do. And what I want to talk about today is why small firms love Pixie, and show you exactly how you can get started as well if you're interested, and how to set everything up to help you with the upcoming, for example, with the upcoming tax filing season. So without further ado, let me just run you through the agenda that we have planned for you. Just want to do a quick round of introductions here. My name is Celso. I'm one of the co-founders at Pixie. I want to tell you a bit more about why you should consider using Pixie, and then just jump straight into the demo. I have added there a small Q&A session at the end, but I was just talking to Simon earlier, and this sort of structure actually makes me super uncomfortable. So if you have any questions at any point as I go through the software, please don't hesitate to ask me anything, and I'll try to address any questions that come up at the appropriate time. So let me just move a couple of things here off my screen. And now let me tell you why you should use Pixie. And this is a question that came up quite a few times, which we really appreciate. And I would say that primarily the reason why you should consider using Pixie is that it takes minutes to set up and not months. So that is the fundamental difference between setting up and starting to work with Pixie versus, for example, some other more sophisticated software that requires you to spend weeks planning your processes and then more weeks setting everything up in the software, etc. What I'm going to, in fact, show you for the first 10 minutes of this demonstration is exactly that, how you can get started in 10 minutes with Pixie. And yeah, hopefully after you've seen it, you will believe it. Additionally, firms have joined Pixie for a few reasons, such as having tasks and emails organized and prioritized for you, have the ability to schedule recurring tasks to stay ahead of deadlines. Send automatic reminders to clients is a very popular feature. It can be used for a couple of reasons. The first one is to nag clients to actually submit the information that we need from them in a timely manner. And the second one is to collect client feedback periodically so that we can understand exactly how we are faring in terms of customer service. And then there's also the fact that Pixie is able to keep the client records up to date automatically. And then at this point, I must have spoken with nearly thousands of firm owners. And the common thread across all of those conversations is that everyone drops the CRM because it just requires a lot of manual labor to keep up. So hopefully you'll enjoy seeing Pixie just keep everything up to date here for us. And lastly, for you as a business owner, you'll have a clear list of what needs to be worked on, what's in progress, what's assigned to whom, and when things are due. So that said, I want to just dive right in. We prepared this session by splitting it into two parts. The first one is how to get started in Pixie, and I will start with a workspace from scratch, and then just give you a more in-depth walkthrough around client management, task and team management, and email management, which is a very popular feature here in Pixie. All right. Again, if you have any questions as I go through the software, please don't hesitate to let me know.
So I've got a question that's just come up in my mind. Why Pixie? Why the name Pixie?
Oh, why the name Pixie? Oh, okay. Couple of reasons for that, actually. You know, Palmer is the name of the limited company that we have, and Palmer means orchard. So every idea that I have tends to have like a fruit name. And Pixie originally started as Tangerine. Obviously, Tangerine is a bit too long as a brand to use. So when we actually went live with it, I was searching for types of tangerine, and there was a type of tangerine called Pixie. And that really resonated with me because at the time I was listening to Spotify and Pixie was playing, the Pixies were playing in the background. So like, happy coincidence. So let's try this one. And it was available.
Brilliant. Thank you. Every day is a school day. So there was a tangerine called a Pixie. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for the question. Cool. Okay. So after you join Pixie and you start your own trial, you'll see something like this. And this is a new workspace. And the things that I want to show you right now is how you can get started right this minute. So the first thing I did was create an export of the clients that I had, for example, in TaxCalc or some other software. And I created that export into a CSV file. I believe that TaxCalc does this automatically for us. So all you need to do then is going to Clients and then click the three options here, import data from a CSV file. I'm going to say import the client records. And all of this is live, by the way. So hopefully it will work. Let's see how it goes. So I have this here, and let's say, yes, this is the client name. Let's just go with that. Confirm the mapping here, the client type. And this, we're going to say limited companies and map them out to the self-assessment. And company registration number, this is right, line 1, line 2. Now at this point, I'm literally just going through, these are the columns in the CSV file, and how do they map to the fields in Pixie, such as, for example, postal code, the country, whether the client is registered for VAT or not, the VAT ID, the next VAT date that I have around here somewhere. Let's go with that. And then the end of the year and year date, the UTR, PAYE ref, accounts office ref. And then I'm just going to skip the contacts because the contacts have their own process. So for now, I just want to import the client records and do a quick review here. Everything looks okay for me right now. Fingers crossed. And let's click continue. And let's see what, there we go. Great. So now I have my contacts in here. My clients in here. I want to import my contacts now. So for that, I'm going to import the file again. It's also Simon here. And then the client name. This is it. Ignore, because all we want now is the contacts. There we go. Excellent. So contact name, first name, this is it. Last name, yep. Email, yep. And ignore this column here. Cool. So let's do this, and now we'll have these all the directors coming into Pixie. There we go. Now another thing I wanted to highlight is that we have prepared a number of guides for you. So as you get started, you'll be able to learn how to prepare your file, how to prepare the CSV file. Pixie is pretty flexible. So if you export a CSV file, like I said, from TaxCalc or another software, you should be able to import it into Pixie right away. But it's still good to just go through our import guide just to make sure that you have everything properly set up. If you need sample files, we have a few of them available as well. And of course, there's always questions coming up. So if you have any questions, you can check out the FAQ. But I will also add that if you need help, you can always click the Get Help button here, talk to us. And this brings up this chat window, and that will enable you to chat with one of us here at Pixie. Okay, so I imported everything. Let's just have a quick look, just to make sure we have Cardinal Consulting here, etc. Great. So everything's set up from the client's point of view. Now, the next thing that we want to do really is let's connect our email address. And the reason for that is that by doing this, Pixie is going to start prioritizing my inbox right away. I don't know how your inbox looks like. My inbox looks like this, which is kind of a mess, really hard to process. So obviously, having some ability to prioritize emails would be a good thing. Let me try to click this grant permission here just to access my my Outlook account. On that front, by the way, Pixie connects with G Suite, Gmail, Outlook.com, and Office 365 account. Pixie does not connect with hosted Exchange and not yet with IMAP servers either. We do have partners that can assist in the migration if you want to. Cloud email, it's a good thing to have at this point so that you don't depend on being in an office or having to have virtual desktops and things like that. So let me just refresh my email here. And as you can see, instead of that huge thing around, I don't know, hundreds of messages, now I only have 3 that I need to look into. And there's about 15 of others that I can look into later. So this is a really cool feature of Pixie because it prioritizes the inbox for me. As emails come in and they're analyzed in real time, Pixie tries to figure whether that email is going to be a priority or not by determining whether that email comes from a client or whether that email is somehow related to an ongoing task. And if so, it goes into the priority inbox. Otherwise, it goes into the other inbox. Simon, I see you there.
Yeah, I've got a question, and Abby's got a question as well. So just from a clarity point of view, if the email comes into your Outlook inbox, Pixie interrogates that inbox and says, right, okay, that's a client one, that's important, and it therefore needs to be. So just refresh my memory, or just reconfirm, how does it decide the difference between a priority and other? Is it just client emails that go in priority, or is it clever enough to realize when the VAT quarter ends are due and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's both. So it tries to determine first whether the email belongs to the client, and if so, it gets bumped into the priority inbox. And it tries to determine whether that email relates to a job, and if so, it gets bumped into the priority inbox as well.
Blimey, very clever. I like that idea. That's very clever. And then Abby's asked, I have a couple of different email accounts. Can you add more than one?
Yeah, to the same account, not yet. This is something that we are hoping to expand in the beginning of the next year. So right now we're going to I don't know if you've realized, but we have been releasing features pretty much every week, sometimes multiple times a week, which has been pretty insane pace. And as the deadlines are looming with the self-assessment and the end of year returns for corporation tax, etc., we're kind of slowing down a bit more. But this is a feature that we're planning to release in the beginning of the next year.
Okay, so at the moment it works with one email account, but there are plans to have more than one in the future.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me just mark that as answered live. Cool. So the other thing I wanted to add in terms of email integration as well is that even though I'm showing you Pixie, you don't need to use Pixie for email. If you want to carry on using Outlook, you can carry on doing it, and Pixie will just monitor the inbox in the background and then start logging email into the client's record. Let me show you how that works here. So I have this 0 to 1 digital, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go into the client details here, 0 to 1 digital, and if I go into emails, Pixie already logged the email in there that I received earlier. So this is a really neat feature of Pixie. Saves me hours of time every week, just having to decide, which client to log the email into. Pixie just does this automatically for us.
So I've just got another question from Martin Celso. Is that one email account per user? So if it was Simon at Greenstones or Mark at Greenstones,
Yeah, that's correct. For now, it's just one email inbox per user.
Per user on the system.
Yeah, exactly. So if I go into settings, my email integration here, I only have Office 365. If I disconnect this, you'll see that I'll have the option to connect two of them. But once it's connected, I can only work with one. Like I said, we're looking forward to be able to expand this and make it possible to have multiple accounts, such as, pardon, your own personal account plus the info at firm name, for example.
Yeah, sorry. I think Martin's question is about an email account per user. So you can connect multiple accounts to multiple users. So if I've got a Simon at Greenstones and a Mark at Greenstones within Pixie, when I log in as Pixie as Simon, then it will connect to the Simon at Greenstones email. And when Mark logs into Pixie, it will connect to the Mark at Greenstones email account. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So going back to 021 Digital here, as I mentioned, the email just got logged automatically here for us. And this is going to happen regardless of whether or not you use Pixie for actually emailing the client. So you can, like I said, just connect Pixie to the mailbox, let it monitor the communications, and just make sure that everything gets logged correctly. So let me just click on that. There we go. Now, the next thing I want to show you is task lists. So everyone has tasks, and I'm sure you have quite a few of them already as well, as we are ramping up to the self-assessment season. So what I want to do here is just show you how we can potentially just very quickly start self-assessment tasks. You'll notice as you start exploring Pixie that Pixie has this concept of task templates, and the task templates are just a collection of subtasks. Obviously, as you're getting started, you'll want to review this, but this is going to consume quite a bit of time. So you can skip it. You don't have to do it right away. You can skip it. And what I'm going to do here is create a task. Let's call it self-assessment tax return. And I just want to do a couple of things here. So I'm going to add, let's say, gather client details as a subtask. Prepare return, that's another subtask. And finally, get client approval, and then submit return. So I'm just going to keep it simple, okay? Simplicity here is key. And one of the things that you'll notice as you use Pixie is that we are very much fans of just keeping things very, very simple. So I only added these subtasks here. Let's say, for example, that you're planning to outsource the help on the tax return preparation to someone else. Then we could add, for example, here on this prepare tax return, a description saying how to prepare the tax return. Then let me just add a series of checklists. Task 1, task 2, task 3. If I wanted, I could also add a Loom video. So for example, if you want to show people how to use the self-assessment software that you're using, or whether that's TaxFile or TaxCalc, Zero Tax, etc., you could record yourself doing that. It's a really popular strategy to standardize processes nowadays. So you can record this Loom video there, insert it into the task, save it. And now the cool bit is that all of this that I have created, I can go in there and save it as a template. So I'm just going to call it AAA Center template. And now I want to go into my clients here and do a couple of things. So the first one is go in there, grab the self-assessment clients, apply the filter, boom, start a new task. Let's go with this, self-assessment. Now, when it comes to the deadline, I'm not going to pick the deadline to make it the 31st of January. That's really bad practice. So what we want really is to set this deadline here, for example, for the 15th of December, so that we still have about 6 weeks ahead of the deadline to actually complete this. I'm going to click on next year. And all the subtasks are here, great. So let me just do that. Great. So now if I look at my task list, I can see that I have these 2 tasks here in my system right away for these 2 self-assessment clients. And just dismiss this one here because I don't need it anymore. And I think in about 10 minutes, 15, give or take, I did quite a great deal of things. I imported my clients into Pixie. I connected my email inbox and got it prioritized. I started all the tasks that I have right now in flight, in progress, and I got those into the system. And the reason why this is important is that now that these tasks have a deadline, so they can be managed easily. You can delegate this to a team member. You can do any number of things with these tasks. And if you do delegate to a team member, when they get to the preparing of the tax return, they'll have all of the instructions that you left out here, including the video. So this is really neat, and this is something that you won't find in any other software. One last thing I want to show you about email, however, and I've told you about prioritization, but I didn't tell you how to create tasks based on this email. And this is something that we need to look after. So what I want to do here is just create a task from the email, and here we go, boom. So this task is now in the system. It's linked to the, it's on my to-do list. If I go there, I can see the task here. It has a deadline, it's linked to a client already. The email is linked to the task itself as well. And I can, again, delegate this to someone else in my team. I can mark it as urgent. I can do any number of things with this. So this is a really easy way to get started with Pixie today. Literally, if you sign up for a trial this morning, you'll be able to get started right away without having to spend too much time doing your setup.
So I've got a couple more questions on the email aspect of it, but just basically, if you've got an Excel spreadsheet that you're currently managing all your VAT deadlines and your year-end deadlines and that sort of stuff on, within, well, I reckon that took you 6 minutes to import it. I know you'd got the data ready, but so even if we allowed sort of 5 minutes to open it in an Excel document and save it as a CSV document before you imported it, at most that's a 10-minute job, and you could have a proper system to manage your clients' affairs rather than an Excel spreadsheet and all the complications that go along with that. So yeah, 15 minutes and we're away. So the two questions, the first question from Christy, what about the different emails per client? So for example, we've got a company, ABC Limited, and we have emails from, say, the bookkeeper and the owner. Does it recognize on the domain, or do you have to put in the individual email addresses?
No, you have to put in the individual email addresses. And so, for example, going into Cardinal here, I have Andrew Smith, and now let's say I want to add Jenny Smith, and let's say Jenny. Example.com here, and let's say that Jenny is the bookkeeper, as you mentioned. So I'll just say this, and then the email that comes in from Jenny at example.com will get logged into this client record. Another neat thing, by the way, is that if you want to CC Jenny in all the emails, we can do that, Mark, and then with all the automatic emails, which I'll show in a minute, Jenny will get a copy of those emails as well.
Excellent, thank you. So, but in my language, and I'm perhaps not using the technical terms or your terms, right? So each customer can have multiple contacts, and as long as those multiple contacts are set up, then that customer's emails will all appear on that customer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then David's question. So David said he's been using Pixie for a while now and he loves it. One last point on the emails. Is it right that everybody can see everybody's email? So me as the practice owner, if I go in and look at the client, can I see what team members haven't responded to what emails on that client?
Well, first of all, hi David. It's been great working with you, and I do appreciate the question. So when it comes to email, there's two things. Prioritized email, yes. This is accessible to everyone in the team. And the reason for that is that it's known that this is email that relates to clients. Email in the other inbox is only accessible to each team member, to the individual team member. So if I have my own personal email here, no one else will have access to this. So only email that's linked to a client can be accessed by everyone else in the team. So for example, if I go into clients here, I'm going to go back into current consulting, and then I'll go into emails. Oh, not this one then. To 0 to 1 digital. So if I go to 0 to 1 digital here, I'm going to go into emails, and I can see this email here, and so can everyone else in my team.
So from a practical point of view then, say that I've got 2 people in the bookkeeping team and somebody's ill, for argument's sake. Instead of ringing the client and saying, we need this information, you could go in and see if the client has already emailed the person that's not in the office today. So you've got a global view of the emails that are coming in on that client, regardless of where the team member is, basically.
That's exactly it. And that's exactly what I was going to mention as well. The advantage of doing this and having this openness is that people can just very easily cover for each other. So if someone is overworked and then someone else needs to pick up on some of the tasks that they're leaving behind, they will have full context. They will have access to the history of all the communications with clients. And this is a really good thing to do.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Christy. You might be coming to this, Celso, but Lena's asked, do you get a list of all the VATs and accounts due in that month? So can you get a job list?
Sure. So 2 ways of doing this. So the first one is my own to-do list. And here I can change the time horizon for this. So for example, in this case, I'm seeing everything. But if I only want to see what's due this month, then I only have this task. This is one. The other way to do this is at the team level. So if I go into team work report, actually this here isn't too rich, but let's go there. And then I can say, give me everything that's due by before the end of the month. And there we go. So I can see all the tasks that are due before the end of the month. And then if I want to further filter this to only show me only the things that are in progress, I can also do that and have this list here of all the tasks that are assigned to anyone in my team. So I can see exactly who it is assigned to, who is the deadline, who's the client, and yeah, this will show me exactly everything that's due this month.
So but basically you can interrogate the database on any of the information that you've got in there in whatever basis you want it to be. Okay, thank you. And then Abby's asked, what happens if a client emails me and I don't want my team to see it?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I think I can understand the context around this. So for example, if the client is passing on feedback about some team members' performance or something more sensitive like this, and we don't want the team to access it. I'm going to be honest with you, this never came up from Pixie customers, so we never spent too much time thinking about it. We tend to be very driven and focused on what customers request, but this is a very valid concern, and this is something that we'll add to the to-do list for sure.
So just from my perspective, thank you, Abby, for the question. Is there, when it ends up in the priority, so it's only the emails that are in the priority section that everybody could see, can you take it out of the priority and stick it in other?
That's what I was thinking. You can't.
That's perfect.
You know, at this point, but we'll try to find a way to do exactly that, where we can just go, okay, just hide this one here from everyone else and not put it into the client's record.
Okay, so we can't do it at the moment, but it's a great question, and it's now on the roadmap. Is it what you software people call it, on the roadmap? So excellent, thank you, Abby. Yeah, Abby's just commented. It's what I am charging the client. But if you've got feedback from on a team member's performance, would be something that's potentially sensitive that you don't want. Thank you. And then Christy's asked, can you specify certain clients' view for certain employees? So can you restrict if you've got a team member so they can't see the whole customer base, but so they can only see certain customers that maybe is part of their client base?
Right, not at the moment. So everyone has access to all the clients. Let me just go back here. So for example, this client list, all of my team has access to this. And again, the benefit of this transparency is really the fact that it allows anyone to go into a client's record and pick up any task. So for example, as you mentioned, Simon, if you have two bookkeepers and one of them for some reason can't make it to work today, and a few tasks need to be completed, it's very, very easy for someone else to go into their to-do list or to their client and grab the task from there and just have access to all the information that they need. One thing I can recommend, however, and this does not enforce that view, by the way, but this makes it possible to say, okay, show me everything that is managed by me, so I can see only my own clients. And in this case, it's all of them. But if I have more team members, then I would be able to see only my own clients. And then I can say this as a filter and say, Celso's clients. And then whenever I want to access this view of just my own clients here, I could just do that. And then it just brings up my own clients. So that would be kind of a workaround. It does not enforce, however, that visibility over everything, but it just makes it easier to narrow down things to only the things that I need to focus on.
Excellent, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so well, I've spoke a lot about just getting started. Thank you very much for the questions. For the next part of my walkthrough, I want to go into a bit more in depth into the into client management, into task management and team management, team reporting, and also email management. As so far, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, just send them across, and I'll make sure to address them as soon as I can. So this is another workspace. This is my usual demonstration workspace, and the reason why I'm using this one now is because I just have a bit more information in there. So something that you'll see right away is that I have quite a few more clients as well, and there's a lot more going on. As I mentioned earlier, you have the ability to save filters, and in this case, I already have quite a few of them set up here. I can see, for example, my prospects. I don't have any at the moment. I can see who are my individual clients. I can see who are my CT 600 clients, etc. And again, this is useful for making it possible to, for example, email everyone. So if I have all my CT 600 clients here all set up, I can very easily select all of them that I want to email. Let's say not these ones, not these ones, not these ones, and now not this one here either. Now I can click on send email, and the same email is going to be sent in one go to all the 4 clients. Send a reminder. Let's just do that real quick here. To remind you of this important task. CP600. Thank you. So this is a very, simple email. You can make it as complex as you want. The benefit of the bulk emailing, however, is that it allows you to replace newsletters. For example, newsletters, as I'm sure you know, because you receive them as well, are very impersonal. And Pixie, at least for us here, we're all about making those relationships with clients a lot more personal. And for that, Pixie doesn't have the ability to send newsletters and to compose all those HTML things. Pixie has this ability to send, personal emails to your clients. And this is what I'm doing right now. So if I click the send here, all of those 4 clients are going to receive this email, which I can attest if I go into my sent folder here. So there you go. This is what the client receives. Hi, Natalie, I wanted to remind you of this important task, on my signature, my logo in there. So everything that you'd expect in a personal email is there, including that personalization of the first name of the recipient. So this is something that's really, really neat, and we're really excited by this, precisely because it just allows us to make these relationships a bit more personal. Now, if I go into a client record, all the information that you'd expect is there. I noticed that there's a tiny software bug related to a feature that we launched last week that we need to address, which is this here. So let me just address the elephant in the room. It's not meant to look like this. It's meant to be a link to the company's house. So this is something that you'll fix this morning right away. Now, in terms of the client records, everything that you'd expect can be found here. All the client details, all the custom fields that have information in them, all the client fields that have information in them, client contacts. If you're on the phone with the client and the client needs to know what's the status of things, you can see, all their open tasks, everything that's been closed, everything that's been scheduled, and I'll get to this in a minute with task management. But for now, let's just say that this makes it possible to schedule recurring tasks to the client, to this specific client. All the files that have been exchanged with the client are logged in here, all the emails, all notes, everything that you'd expect essentially in the CRM is here. The difference is that the majority of these things have been done automatically. So I didn't have to move a finger to have these emails logged into the client, the file is appearing here, making them accessible. The scheduled tasks, I don't need to do anything. All the tasks get created and assigned to the client right away. So again, this is a really neat thing about Pixie, and we hope that it saves you quite a great deal of time. Now, the other thing that you'll notice here is this start timer button, I'm sure, and this enables you to use Clockify.com, which is an app that integrates with Pixie to do time tracking. So Pixie does not have native time tracking. We just feel that there's lots and lots of really good applications out there that have really powerful reporting capabilities, and that would distract us from our core mission here, which is to enable relationships with clients. And instead, we just prefer to integrate with them. And Clockify is a really good example because they have a little widget here. So if I wanted to do work for Cardinal Consulting, all I need to do is start the timer here, and then Clockify will start logging my time there for this client. Well, let me just stop that. And then all I need to do is go to my Clockify dashboard and just type my details in there. So in terms of the client management, that is pretty much the gist of it. The other thing I wanted to quickly show you is how to create a client. So not all the clients are going to be imported via CSV file. Quite often you'll already have your own process in place, and you're taking on a new client. So how is that going to work? But before I do that, I know that there are questions.
Yeah, I've got some. I'll just before we move on to that next section, because I think some of these questions might relate to the next section. So a question from Michael: do you have to use Chrome? So is it compatible with any browser? I think you just noticed that you clicked on the Chrome add-in for the timesheet thing.
Yep. So you can use any browser for Pixie, barring Internet Explorer. So you can use Microsoft Edge, no problems. Firefox, Chrome, Safari, any browser really. You should be able to use to access Pixie.
Thank you. And then Martin's asked, can you link individual directors, i.e. their tax returns, to the company or their companies? Can you see how they're all connected?
Question. That's a really, really good question. So that came up a few times already this week. This is why I'm so excited about it. This is something that we're looking into. It's just that ability to relate all the different records. So that, for example, going into the director's client record, we can see all the companies that they relate with.
Okay, and then Zara's asked, can you set up a task to trigger another task or a subtask once the previous task has been completed? So say, for example, we've sent a set of accounts to a customer. Can that create a task to follow that up to make sure the customer sends that back?
There is a great deal of automation going on there, and I really like this one. Not necessarily the way I understand the question, which is within a task, have a series of subtasks, and when it reaches a certain subtask, then start something else. But through Zapier, which is an app that Pixie integrates with, you should be able to go and say, when this task is completed, start this other one, and orchestrate that through Zapier.
Okay, so
But
it can be done, just not within the software. So, just from my perspective, then, on the deadline is the deadline. Do each of the tasks have a sub deadline for argument's sake? So, if the tax return's got to be filed on the 31st of January, can you have a further deadline of receive all information by the 14th of January, for argument's sake?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let me give you that example here with the early accounts in this one here, where we have all these internal deadlines. So we have this internal deadline here on the 29th of September to complete these tasks, which we have. And now we have the next deadline being the 29th of January to complete these other two tasks. And so we have these internal deadlines that allow you to do exactly that.
So you can report on them. Do they appear on the individual team members' task lists so they know that they're outstanding? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So here's again that example with the early accounts. I can see that the hard deadline is on the 29th of April, but my next deadline is on the 29th of January.
Got you. So they can't trigger, for want of a better phrase. I don't, that's obviously not a technical software term, I don't imagine, but they can't trigger the tasks. But as long as you've got it set up, then you can see the task by dates, basically. So you can go and have a look.
Yeah, and there's also something really exciting that we're planning to release, if not this week, then next week for sure, which is the client tasks. And the client tasks could perhaps alleviate some of this in the sense of within a task, we'll be able to assign some of these things to a client. And then when they complete it, they send it back to us and get a little notification to go back in there and complete the rest of it. So for capturing client information, these client tasks are going to be very useful.
Thank you. I hope that answers your questions, Ara. If not, if you want to ask a supplementary one, please do. Jason's asked, we've got two questions from Jason. How do you integrate Pixie with Zapier? He can't find the Pixie app when he searched on Zapier.
Yeah, sure. So to integrate Pixie with Zapier, because it's in beta, you have to go into settings and then click here on integrations, click Zapier. When you click on activate Zapier, it takes you to the Zapier website. You just need to accept what's being asked here, which is kind of like a form. Just see if I can go there. Yeah, exactly. You've been invited to use Pixie on Zapier. Click accept invite and build this app, and that's it. So that's okay. It just needs to start through Pixie, not through Zapier at the moment.
Thank you. That's easy enough. And then the second one from Jason, how do you log phone calls with clients?
All right. So we don't have the ability to log a phone call specifically, but if there's anything important and of note, you can add that as a note to the client's record as well. So for example, let's say on the demo page of starting tasks based on do that, click save, and now it's on the client record as a note.
I see there, I spy a pinned note. So you can have the pinned note as kind of like a mini permanent file. So if you've got do not ring this client before 10 o'clock because they're still in bed type scenarios, you could have those notes in there. So everybody knows across the practice.
Yeah, before 10 a.m. Let's do that. Exactly that. Let me show you how that works. So if I go there, pin the notes, they go into the client details, which is the default.
Oh, and it goes there as well. Okay, so can you make it flash? Sorry. Excellent. Thank you. That's all the questions I've got at the moment. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you very much. I did lose my track here. I apologize for that. Oh, right. So I was going to show you how to create a client in Pixie. So new clients coming on board. For the ones that have an interest in Zapier, and if you have a subscription with co-proposal or with practice ignition, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that once the client accepts a proposal on any of those products, you can use Zapier to create the client directly in Pixie, so that you don't need to do anything. If you're not using any of those products, no problem. Whenever you onboard a new client, you can create the client record from scratch. So let me click on Add Client here and go away. I'm not very creative with these names, so just bear with me. Just do that. Limited company. Again, you can change this in any way you want. Actually, let's use this as a prospect, shall we? And then we have the company email, all the details that we want to capture. So for now, I'm just going to leave everything blank here. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go with Simon. Go. I'm just going to do this for demo purposes, not really sending you an email, Simon. Don't worry. So I'll save this, and now I have the client record here. If I wanted to change any details about the client, say, for example, move them from the prospects to being, say, for example, a limited company, I could do that right there. If I wanted to add the company registration number, I could do that right there, which I'll do to show you a couple of other really neat things here. So we have the company details in there. It doesn't look very well at the moment. Again, I really apologize for this. It's just the risk of developing software too quickly. And now, once I have the company registration number in there, I can go and fetch all these details from Companies House. It will pull down the date of incorporation, the confirmation statement date, and the accounts made up to date. So now we have all these key dates here, which is great. Now I want to go in there and schedule a few recurring tasks for this client. Let's say that we have the bookkeeping that we run every Friday, and then we want to have the confirmation statement here. We want to have the yearly accounts. Again, these are all templates that come built in with Pixie. You can use them as is. There's plenty of other firms that are doing that, or you can spend some time if you have it. When you have it, you can spend some time reviewing all these processes. And once we're done, you can click on Schedule Task here. A few things are going to happen automatically for us whenever this Pixie finishes this calculation here. So the first one is that the bookkeeping got scheduled automatically for next Friday, which is the 25th of September. And what this is going to do is, on Friday, Pixie is going to create this task, put it on my to-do list. Same thing with the confirmation statement, same thing with the yearly accounts. So all of these things are going to be started automatically by Pixie for me. The benefit of this as well is that there isn't an overwhelming list of tasks that you always need to work on. Tasks get created at the right time, they get assigned to the right person, and it will come up on their to-do list. Up until then, Pixie has like a really clean layout, and this also makes it easier to find things. So going back to my work here, just to my to-do list, just to give you an idea of how that's going to work. And the system is becoming a bit slow. Not entirely sure what is going on there. So I'll just do this one instead. Hopefully it's not my internet connection. Okay, let's just leave that for a second there and do exactly the same thing here. So with Cardinal Consulting, let's see, we have that number there. Let me just pull that in. Great. And now try this again. See if it picks up. It doesn't. Cool. Okay. So once I schedule those tasks, then let me just go back to that confirmation statement and yearly accounts and the bookkeeping. Do that there. Right. So in this case here, we already have the confirmation statements coming in from Companies House. In this case, the bookkeeping, because it's a different workspace, isn't set up. So what I want to do here is say, actually, let's let's do this every Friday and repeat it every other week. So change the schedule here. And again, the next time it's going to start is on the 25th. And then 2 weeks after that, they'll have another bookkeeping task coming up on my to-do list. So that's the way to create clients in Pixie and schedule all these tasks for them. Lastly, I'm sure you'll want to onboard clients, and you'll be happy to learn that Pixie has a process for that too. We have this new client onboarding task, which I'll click on here and start a new task with it. And this is going to create all the subtasks. So all I need to do to onboard this client is follow the checklist. And again, I will remind you that this can be, this is customizable. And so in this case, we have the details gathering email that I want to send to the client here, just reviewing it, everything looks okay, welcome to the firm, perform mandatory checks, all this stuff, great. So all I needed to do here would be send this to Andrew, which is our client, and that would be that. So let me just do that here. The task gets marked as, gets a check mark, so it's done. The next thing would be the professional clearance email. So if I have the email address of their previous accountant, I could send them this email right here. This template is already part of the task template. So all I need to do again is just redact the parts of the email that I want before I can send it. I don't want to send out, so I'm just going to mark it as done and be done with it. Now, for the AML checks, for example, once the directives and the IDs are received, we want to do the AML checks. You'll notice here on this email that this email includes this link. And this link will allow your clients to go into a secure portal, let's call it that, and upload their information securely directly into Pixie without having to set up an account and password and all that complicated stuff. And for you as well, what that means is that you don't have to maintain and support a different document portal and the client portal. So from the client's perspective, everything is really transparent. You can just upload the documents in there, send a nice message. Here are the files you host. Click on confirm and be done with it. So now if I go into the files here, it will come up at some point, like the email. Let me just check. Oh, did I forget something? I did. Just confirm. Oh, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, and I apologize for this. This doesn't seem like a very good day for demonstrations. It seems usually on Fridays it goes a bit better. But in any case, if this sort of thing ever happens to you, again, click on Get Help, talk to us, and we're readily available to help out. So this is potentially because I'm just in a staging environment, meaning this is a development thing, because my production server here doesn't seem to be available right now. And I would like to, in this case, whenever the client submits, it would come straight into the Pixie client and into Pixie task right away. So that's really all I had to show you about client management and how easy it is to get started. Simon, any questions? I know that you're running right on time.
Oh, yeah, we've got 5 minutes. I've been through the list of preloaded questions, and there's one or two of those that I just want to touch on. But before we get to that, the magic number. So investment wise, what sort of costs are we looking at? And I know you said there was a trial. Is that 30-day, 60-day, 7-day trial? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So every Pixie account has a 30-day free trial. You can get started right now by going into usepixie.com. You'll have access to all the features, no credit cards required to start the trial. If you do decide to work with Pixie, you'll get I'm sure you'll be happy to learn that it's a single flat price of £49 per month. And when I mean flat, I mean flat. So there's no pricing per client, there's no pricing per user. And the reason why we do this is because we feel that it's really important to get everyone in your practice on board, even if they're contractors, even if they're part-timers. So we don't want you to worry about that additional license that isn't really being used. And hopefully this simple pricing will help you get everyone on the same page at the firm. And lastly, if you do opt for an annual plan, you'll get 2 free months and 1 training session included.
Thank you. So really simple. And I know lots of practitioners, when they look at software, they're trying to work out how they can limit the cost by reducing their users and reducing their clients, and then they end up with. So I think that's a wonderful and an excellent demonstration of the culture and your ethos around this, and how you want to help accountants. So it fits with everything that we've had conversations about before we've came to do this demonstration today. So thank you for that. And Mark has put the use pixie.com URL in the chat box, so we can so you can click on that. If anybody's got any questions, if you post them in the Q&A box or in the chat box, I will ask those before. And let me just come through on the document signing. On the document share, that's just sharing documents. There's not an approval function within there. So is there to do that?
Not yet. So this is also something that we're planning to release, likely not this quarter, this coming quarter, but the next quarter, meaning the first quarter of the next year. And just as a heads up, that's part of our, once we do that, the Pixie prices will also go up. So it's something that we consider fundamental to have in the product, and it will also increase the value that Pixie is delivering. So if you are indeed considering Pixie and you can make do with a different document signing solution at the moment, I would definitely encourage you, because that feature is coming to Pixie, and we'll also grandfather everyone that is already subscribed around that time, so you don't have the price increase.
Thank you. And then just to confirm, does Pixie have integration with other systems? And the answer to that was yes, via Zapier.
Correct. That's exactly it. So again, we believe that we cannot predict what software a firm is using. Some firms are using MailChimp, they're using DocuSign, other firms are using Signable, etc. So the software really varies. Some use Xeros, others use QuickBooks. So instead of us trying to dictate what you can and cannot connect to Pixie, we connect with Zapier, and through Zapier, you'll be able to connect thousands of other apps. And this is bidirectional, by the way. So we can use Zapier to get information into Pixie and to get information out of Pixie to other platforms as well. Thank you.
And then Sharon's asked, can you send automated emails to clients to remind them of tax bills, for example?
Yeah, you sure can. Again, it's one of those features that I'm really happy to show you. So if you go into a task template, and in this case, I'll just bring up this one here real quick, and the bookkeeping. So the bookkeeping, actually not this one. Just see the early accounts, maybe. No. Okay, let's go with the bookkeeping then. So by doing that, now I want to go in there and change this task from manual to automatic. And I can say who exactly is it going to be sent on behalf of, whether that's going to be the client manager, that's the person primarily responsible for communicating with the client, or the task assignee. So tasks have a default assignee, and for example, in this case, it could be the bookkeeper in the firm. And whenever Pixie starts a bookkeeping task, it gets assigned to that person automatically. And this email will be sent on behalf of that person automatically to the client as well. And with this, you can send those reminders right away. And the same thing for client payments. So Pixie can be used exactly for that.
Thank you. And then two last questions from Lean. I'll just close with 1 minute over, but Lean has asked, it saves files on Pixie. Can you also save your working papers to the client folder?
Yeah, I think so. So you should be able to save any document into the client folder. If you do need to send that to the client, you'll have to send it as an email attachment though, so the client doesn't have access to that exact document, which is a bit of work. Yeah,
but basically you can use it as a document management system and put all of the information that you've got on the client within Pixie to look at. Is there any Excuse me, is there any restriction on data?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. I'm sorry.
Now, is there any restriction on the size of data that you can have on Pixie? So file sizes?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. So if you have, more or less bulky files, you should be able to upload those into the client's record in Pixie.
Okay, and then the last question: can we save the client information externally? So can we export it out of Pixie as well as import information into?
Yeah, definitely. So that's again one of the important things about Pixie is I think
I'm sorry.
You own the data. The data is yours. So if you want to export anything out of Pixie, you can export the client to a CSV file. Pixie will export all of this, all of these details into CSV files. And if you want to export a particular client, you can also do that by going in there and export data. And this will export literally all the details about the client, files, emails included.
Excellent, thank you. So we have done all of those questions. Mark has put, as I keep saying, Mark has put in the chat box, use pixie.com to go and get your free trial. And Mark has also put in the LinkedIn URLs for Celso and Jordan, who works with Celso. So please go along and say hi to Celso and begin the conversation and your journey with Pixie. That just leaves me to say thank you very much for coming along and sharing what Pixie can do with the community. I know it's provoked lots of questions. I think it's wonderful how the people come along and they ask questions that you haven't thought of and I haven't thought of, and the fact that we've got this collective brain, hive brain, or whatever language you want to call it, in order to make sure that you deliver value, I deliver value, and everybody gets what they want from the session. So without further ado, that just leaves me to say thank you very much for Celso for coming along. Jeff says thank you. Dave says thank you. Lots of thank yous coming through. And as always, if anybody's got any questions, then please pop them in the comments or send them through to me or send them to Celso, and we will gladly answer them. So quick virtual round of applause. And I'll do the obligatory Zoom wave and say thank you very much, Celso, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.